Welcome back to the AI-Driven Marketer. I'm Dan Sanchez, and today I'm syndicating an interview that I had with Brooks Lockett over at the AI Copywriting Pro newsletter. I thought Brooks's interview was so good that I wanted to syndicate it on my own podcast because he recorded the whole thing. I even encouraged him you need to start his own podcast. So hopefully Brooks starts his own show. But until then, go and subscribe to his newsletter over at Substack. Again, I will drop a link to the show in the description. So after you listen to this interview, go over to Brooks's newsletter and subscribe. And here's the interview.
We kind of already dove into it a little bit, but maybe you could go deeper on like what exactly are you thinking for Social Media Examiner, and then we can get into some of your other content stuff as well.
So my role at Social Media Examiner right now is twofold. I am essentially a content creator. They were going to hire a social media marketing manager, and I'm like, you don't want someone to manage it. You need someone to come in and create some unique ideas. Someone that creates ideas not to promote, but to get attention. And I think that's the difference between a social media manager and a creator. A creator is someone with a track record of actually growing an audience and has a discernment of what the audience wants. Luckily, I'm a marketer's marketer. I'm a marketer's creator. So like, I'm pretty in touch with what marketers like, don't like. I think it's honestly one of the best audiences to work with because marketers love creative stuff. They love novel things. Yet when you throw in a right hook, they don't get mad. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So they actually respect the right hook on occasion, especially if you could sneak it into something good. So I'm really looking forward to crafting some unique premises and angles for a content series within Social Media Examiner, and not being like a topical leader face per se on social media marketing, but essentially being a creator, coming up with content, getting in front of the camera, editing the videos, and doing all the work to create a few content series for Social Media Examiner and working those into promoting their conference, promoting their paid communities. So that's a big part of it. But also, like, Mike is going big into AI. Like, I talk about this a lot, but I'm like, there was a point last year when I started my own AI podcast where it's like I had this writing on the wall moment, and I wanted to tell people everywhere, like, hey, AI is going to be a big deal. Hey, AI is going to be a big deal. It's coming for all of us. Kind of like before social media was big. I knew that was going to be big. I remember before WordPress popped, I'm like, WordPress is going to be the thing that controls everything. That's the best solution out there. And now it, controls 45% of websites on the internet. But I didn't document my journey on that one. I did with AI this time. I started getting it. I got in it seems weird to say it was like a year after ChatGPT came out when I started, but it's still really early for AI. Even now, like, it's still early. It hasn't crossed over into the adoption bell curve. It hasn't crossed over into that early majority where most people are using it. Let's say the whatever the group is before that is pretty well. And I bet it'll cross the chasm this next year where like most of the population's using AI on a regular basis, or a good majority of them. But Mike saw it too and started doubling down this spring, creating his own podcast, starting his own paying community. His Social Media Marketing World Conference is like half AI driven. He's got his own AI ticket if you only want the AI stuff. I'm like, it's probably the biggest AI marketing conference there is now. And I was excited to join him to like work alongside Mike and his team to kind of push AI marketing to the forefront, because I think it's inevitable that it's going to change everything we do in marketing for sure. I mean, I think it's going to actually change a lot of things that we do in every part of our lives, but in marketing, it's definitely gonna, like, 5 years from now, marketing will look much different than it does today.
What's been surprising about, in terms of learning, like you said, you're kind of in touch with what marketers want. Like when you started hammering the AI angle and going deeper on that, refining it, what's been like the audience feedback on that? Like what specific points have you learned that you're like, oh, that's surprising?
I didn't realize how early I was until I started talking to a lot of my marketing peers, especially in tech, because the people who work in SaaS and tech, they're usually a little bit more on they're more innovative, right? They like tech solutions. They're more prone to try new things. Yet I was surprised that, like, even in spring of last year, most of my peers in marketing tech hadn't even started paying for something like a ChatGPT Plus yet, which is kind of an indicator that you're really starting to use it a lot if you're starting to throw your own money at it. I mean, $20 isn't a month, but it's enough that like if you're not using it a lot, you're not going to pay for it.
Yep.
It really started helping me understand like, wow, like I thought I was actually a little bit behind the ball here, but it's super early. That's been something that's been surprising. Like how many people, I even have some really, really smart peers I've had on my show talking about like that it's not like AI won't be that big. It'll be like a subsection of like MarTech and marketing ops, maybe. It'll be like its own little maybe division at its biggest length. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think it's going to change every vertical within marketing, like hardcore. Like everything's going to look different for every single marketer, and even the leaders. Like will be AI enhanced in a way, and we'll have all the frontline workers will be AI agents building things in the future, and people will be all what used to be considered like I don't know, like an entry level person will now be a manager managing an AI team. Like that'll just be standard. But that's me thinking out quite a few years into the future, but I'm pretty confident that'll be the base. But not everybody agrees with me. So that's how I know. That's the thing that surprised me, is that this whole conversation around AI in marketing is still super early.
When I think about the emergence of like search engines and the emergence of social media, the emergence of like email, like just different like kind of basic internet platforms that everybody kind of uses and captures those network effects, it seems like over time they just kind of in weird, wonky, unexpected ways like turn into emergent like marketing disciplines that some people go super hardcore and like do really well at, and then eventually it seems like it's just a part of the mix. It's just a big part of the mix that everybody just knows is there, yet very few were like a part of that origin story. Do you feel like that's sort of happening with LLMs and agents and workflows and all the different ecosystems popping up?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's just a few players at the helm right now, which honestly I love, because there's always a few people who get in early and define what the path is going to look like for everybody else. And that's why I love being early, because you can actually start like forging your way through the jungle and actually setting a place for people to run behind you and make it easier for others.
Mm-hmm.
I think of like Michael Stelzner was one of those people who did it for social media marketing. Not him in particular, but he created the stage for a lot of other thought leaders in the space to come and say like, hey, this is how we should use social in order to drive marketing results. Someone's got to do it for AI. And forge a path through that jungle. So hopefully I get to be one of those people. There will be many helping people figure it out.
Yeah, you seem pretty fired up about it.
Oh yeah, no, it's fun.
Yeah, okay. And one thing that I think you have sort of cracked a little bit that I think is hard, as someone who does like written content primarily, like you do videos and you're talking about like prompt engineering over video. I think that is an interesting way to teach. It seems like video is kind of your preferred conduit for communication, which is hard. It's hard to do videos. It's not easy to do that, especially when like I watched the video of O1 and you were kind of explaining O1 and like the different like prompting methodologies and like how to even wrap your head around how it works. And you've done like lots of other things too, but like, has that helped you clarify, I guess my question is like, how has doing videos like really helped you like hone and clarify like your message and refine with your audience and just kind of like make it sharper over time for marketers?
To kind of give a little bit of backstory, I actually picked video for a couple of different reasons. One, I slept in freaking English class in high school, and that was a freaking mistake. Of all the classes that mattered in grade school, it was English. Like, who knew, dude? Like, every teacher swore like their class was important. English happened to be the one, because writing ended up being way more important than any other subject, my opinion. But I slept. I do okay writing now, but I knew, and this was painful because I'm an introvert. So getting in front of the camera is actually kind of intimidating, especially like the amount. I remember recording my first video. It's still live on YouTube somewhere, but like the amount of retakes I had to do to get it was really difficult. And it just came with practice. Now I love it because now with AI, you could just turn the transcript into a lot of really good things. It's not A plus writing, like, and good writers know, like, hey, you're never gonna hit like really great writing. But I'm like, nah, if you know how to prompt well, it becomes B writing, especially if what you threw down was actually good. You had some good content in there.
Mhm.
So now I use that, but I also love video because you can, I don't know, really good writers can do this with the written word, but I'm not a great writer, so I can't do this with the written word. But you can like add inflection into your voice. You can pause and make it more dramatic, and then bring it down to that fine point. So like I love being able to do that in video, and it's more about the audio though. But the facial expressions and the hand gestures and all the different things that make video really come alive. I love that, and it's helped me a lot to do video because really teaching is the ultimate form of like mastery. If you can teach it and try to boil a topic down, you're truly mastering it. Like I just talked about on an episode I just dropped in my own podcast about this process I call the 30-30-30 plan. It's essentially, if you want to master and become an authority on any topic, any niche topic, find a topic that has 30 books on the topic or less, read them all. Which it sounds intimidating, but I promise, like if it's all on one really niche topic, the first 3 books will have a lot of information. Every book after that, it will be less and less content in the book that you'll actually have to read because you can skim it and it's all the same information. You're just looking for the new stuff. So reading 30 books feels more like reading 10, which anybody can do in a year. So read all the content, find out where the industry is at and they're thinking, find out what gaps are missing, go and interview 30 people on the topic to actually work through Socratically. Like right now we're talking about a topic and you might find things that you didn't even know you knew by just having a conversation about it. But then actually going and writing, and I used to say 30 blog posts. I think you honestly just create 30 pieces of unique content on a topic. Teaching it like really forces you to master the topic because you're finding new areas that haven't been talked about before, which means you get to be the one to try to break it down and make it simple for people to understand. And that process of thinking about it from a beginner's perspective, what you didn't know before, forces you to think in a way and truly master a topic when you can teach it well to others. So doing that in the video is the way I prefer, but honestly, you could do it via the written word. The medium matters less than actually going and teaching. I just chose video because I feel like we're kind of in a video age where people are scrolling through, and I find that video can most easily be converted to the other mediums of audio and written word now. So
Definitely. It's cool that all the tools are there. Like it's cool that I feel like, and this is just me talking as somebody who doesn't do video, but maybe should do more video in the future, is like, it's like if you can really hone that, you're sitting there, you are able to articulate this niche topic in a delivery that other people don't have, that's engaging, that brings people into your orbit. It's like you can have a whole structure built around capturing that transcript, repurposing that transcript into other channels for even more expanded reaches. Just like you can give it tentacles. Like I think of the Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man 2, it's like you can just add all those claws to yourself and like do kind of 10x it a little bit.
I also find video just to be more endearing. I went through a long period, I think with a lot of other people, where my brother introduced me to Casey Neistat back in like 2015, 2016. And I started watching his daily vlogs every single day. And what I did, I fell in love with that guy, man. He was doing really cool stuff every single day in his daily vlog. But it really showed me the power of like video and how much more value you get and how much more credibility and loyalty you have around like seeing a face every single day. It's almost like that person when you're seeing them regularly, that you can't quite achieve the same level with writing unless you are really like, you're like a master writer, like you're writing some of the best-selling books. Obviously, like writers can get in your head and get into that narrative more. But I find video is an easy way to do it. Way easier way to build that like relational level, which is why, especially like if you start having some people watch your videos and they jump on a call with you, you have this experience sometimes where they're like, I feel like I know you. And it's kind of weird from the other end because you're like, oh, hi, it's nice to meet you. But video does that more than any other medium I've ever had before because they've been watching you and it feels like they have a relationship with you. So it's a powerful medium. But like I said, master writers like can really do that really well on a totally different level. If you're like, I love reading fiction for that level, for that reason, right? Because it gets in your head in a way movies can't.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely love that. I do want to shift gears a little bit because it seems like you do some consulting work as well around AI. At least on your LinkedIn. You want to tell me a little bit about that? Like, how does that work?
It's funny, over the last year and a half, I've been like a solo consultant, sometimes freelancer, depending on what they needed. I'm doing that less now because of the new role was social media examiner. But I was a weird mix of like helping people with podcasting, marketing automation, and then over the last year, because I started talking more about AI, I started helping people with AI. And at first I just started blending AI into the other things I did. So I'd help people launch a podcast, and then I'd be like, oh cool, and let's mix some AI tools. And they'd be like, okay. So and then I would make their production line for their podcast way more efficient, right? Where I'm like, you guys don't need to pay someone to write your show notes. Like AI is really good at that, actually. Let's speed this up. Instead of coming up with a title, have AI come up with 5. Here's a prompt to get the most out of it so that you can do it based on the show and make sure it doesn't mix up or it doesn't overlap with the other shows you've done. It was stuff like that. And then it started becoming marketing automation. Like, how do we inject AI into your automation in order to 10x your automation and make it way more effective? AI's even back with like rudimentary AI was like filling in so many gaps that you couldn't achieve with marketing automation. Marketing automation before, to customize and personalize thing, was like a game of Mad Libs. Like you're like, okay, I'm going to inject a field here based on a drop down list I gave them earlier, right? Like there's only so many different things you can do with marketing automation based on like drop down menus and insert this. And AI, you like, even on my own AI course, I personalize every email lesson based on the video, based on information they gave me, with a custom lesson. And every single lesson's unique based on the role, who they sell to, and what their role in the company, to give them customized lessons. And it's like that was impossible before with marketing automation. And then building custom GPTs ended up becoming a thing that I was helping people do. I did a case study on that on my show about how I worked with another marketing consultant who was doing a lot of consulting around helping companies prepare for the future. Really interesting subject. He's kind of a futurist, so he had a method and a model of helping paint a picture of different future scenarios and spotting risks and likelihoods of future opportunities as well as risks in order to prepare for them now. And he had a very clear, defined model, but it would take him 2 weeks to walk through the model and to build it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we can build a whole custom GPT that will do this in like 30 minutes. It still was hard, but like imagine something that used to take you 80 man hours now only takes you 30 minutes. It's so fast that you could literally just do it live with clients on a call now.
Yeah.
That's what we built for his business, and now he's using that custom GPT with clients and like is accelerating his value, because speed is everything. If you could do nothing in an industry but improve the speed of delivery, it's a game changer. So
it's mind blowing the amount of leverage you can get out of this, and it's crazy how people just don't even realize it. They don't even know, and it's like it's like, and then you see the people who like, and I don't blame them. I think they'll come around eventually. But you see people posting about like they put some really generic input in ChatGPT, and then of course it spits out something generic, and then they go, "See, I told you," and it's like,
that's not how it works, guys.
So no, I think it's important for there to be a healthy, sort of creator economy around these subjects, and you can already tell. But to your point, it's just so early. It's just so early. What kind of are your, you don't have to give away like your secret sauce and stuff, but in terms of like looking in the next 1 to 3 years, what are your general plans for content and just educating the market and just creating a sort of movement around these things for marketers?
I have no secret sauce. If I like, as soon as I have a really, really good idea that I feel like that is useful for me, I literally try to publish it as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Like, there's no secrets, because like anything you figure out, somebody else will figure out. I honestly just try to get it out there faster. But I think I try to be the really practical person. There's all kinds of conversations happening around AI. There's the theoretical stuff of like doom and gloom and really hyper like utopia kind of stuff with AI. I don't get into that stuff. I'm like, screw it. That stuff will figure itself out. All I want to know is how can I use AI to like improve my craft and get more results as a marketer, like now, and maybe around the very near future, like in the next couple of months, maybe that if I can start preparing for it. And that's what I try to cover. So I'm trying to cover the most useful, most practical use cases that are most helpful for me and other marketers. I'm also trying to not just get like individual use cases, but more holistic frameworks to approach the topic of AI. For example, a really helpful framework that was like it just made the whole difference for me around digital marketing was Ryan Dice's approach to digital marketing. He's like, look, every single channel has a top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and bottom of the funnel component. So look at all the different channels in these three buckets, and you'll see how all of this can fit together more holistically. And then he went through and created courses around like social media, top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, email marketing, top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. And just kind of put a bow on how all these channels could work individually and then together to create a holistic experience. So as you were thinking about strategies and weaknesses and where you were falling off or where you were doing well, you could actually look at it as a system and approach it that way. Mm-hmm. AI marketing still needs that. So I'm trying to come up with frameworks and tools to help marketers think about this new topic. I have a few already around how to approach AI as an individual to mastery, like steps that can be taken. I won't explain it here, but I can give you a link to a show I did earlier on that. Even I came up with a framework around the 5 types of AI marketing to consider for your team and how to approach it. I'm also now trying to think about like how to create a framework that leaders can look at in onboarding their team into AI marketing. I think a lot of leaders, marketing directors, VPs are asking like, how do I, okay, this is clear, but I don't know how to like, some of my team is like crushing it and some of them aren't. Mm-hmm. What can we do with the whole, how can we create a program for the whole team where I can measure everybody's improvements in adopting these new tools? Because you don't want to get left behind as a department. You want to, well, not everybody will take to it like a duck to water, but some people need to be helped and kind of like nudged along while other people need a space to play. So it's coming up with frameworks to help people's thinking around the topic that I'm most excited about. But coming up with the practical use cases is always fun too, is I like to get my hands dirty and trying out little tactical things that really help.
Would you say, Dan, it's like trying, just so I understand it, is it like trying to get people in your audience to see like the second and third order effects of using the tools? Like, I guess if I think of like an example for me, it's like 2 years ago, I wouldn't have thought that using Claude will help me write more emails, which then means I can do the thing I've always wanted to do, which is do a daily email, because it's either impossible to ignore or you just completely ignore it altogether. You know, it's hot and cold. I've always wanted to do that. And it's like without AI, that would be probably 5 to 10 times harder to do and to hit quality and volume. Is that kind of what you're saying? It's like, that's not necessarily so direct, but it's like a second and third order effect of just being more efficient and, you know, having a system to put your words on it.
Yeah, I think they're two different things. I'm trying to come up with frameworks that give people like a map of even how to navigate this new land. But also, one of the things I have been talking about is thinking about even ways AI can improve work for everybody, but even collectively as a team. I like to think about AI in 3 different ways. Helping people move faster, like you're talking about, like it becomes a quantity game. Like if I had more time, what else would I do? Well, AI is going to help you do that. But AI can do more than that. It can do more than just help you do more and faster. It can help you do better. Like the stuff I can do now because of AI is drastically better. I can come up with much better ideas because I might have a few creative ideas, but if I give those as examples to AI and be like, okay, now here's some examples of where I want to go with the show idea for a new podcast or something. Give me some more like this. Oh, so good, especially if you have a few like really good ones as examples. AI will extend them and you might get a new idea that's better than your ideas, or you might get some ones that complement it, or you exhaust all the different ideas. You're like, no, I'm feeling good about the ideas I produce. It'll just sharpen you and make your ideas and your work better. For me, I'm an okay writer, but I'm probably like a C+ writer. It elevates me to a B+ writer because now I can write ChatGPT and Claude can write better than I can. I have to write a LinkedIn post and be like, okay, rewrite this and make it more concise. And it always does better than my original. Even my final draft, it's better than that. My final draft. I'm like, okay, like I'm just going to have to run this through AI every time because it's better than me at this. Fine. And I've written a lot of posts for LinkedIn, so it's just sad, but it is what it is. And I'm not romantic about the craft of writing or even producing video. I'm just like, hey, if it's more effective, let's do that. But those are two, like faster, better. But then there's another category of smarter. Once you do faster, which is where I recommend people start, how can you do what you're already doing faster? And not how can you use AI to make it better? There's this other category of smarter. And I kind of think about it in two ways. One, AI is a really great coach and consultant. If you would ask good questions and help it to guide your thinking and what things you should be considering for a thing, it's really helpful for that. But there's even a new realm of things that are made possible AI that are like you could have never considered before.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not just faster, it's not just better, it's new, it's innovation now. And I actually think walking through that progression of doing things faster, doing things better, will begin to train your mind in thinking about things that weren't even a possibility before. If you start to do those things and you start to use AI regularly, all of a sudden you'll start to be open up to new possibilities of ways of serving customers and reaching people and even creating ideas and putting out content that were impossible 3 years ago. So that's kind of how I've been coaching people on how to think through AI. Do it faster, do it better, and then do it smarter.
Yeah, that's bullish stuff, man. That's exciting.
Dude,
Cool.
that's why I can't stop talking about it. I'm like, yes, like that's why, honestly, why I wanted to work at Social Media Examiner. I'm like, wait, I can get paid to do this full time now? Yes, please. I could have kept going solo, but even the market for AI stuff is still slow, and I'm still doing a lot of marketing automation and podcasting work to pay the bills. So to be able to do it full time or nearly full time is I don't know, awesome. So I get to think about it more now.
Yeah, no, that's a really exciting way to just like be excited for what you do every single day, even more. So props to you, man, and thanks again for this interview.
Thanks again for listening to this interview. It comes from the AI Copywriting Pro newsletter. Go and subscribe over at Substack. Link in the description.